everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew, and today I have a very special guest. Late session for me, early morning for her over in India. Bandana Kaur, who currently just graduated high school. Oddly enough, crazy I know. Known also as a handle of Hack With Her, is a up-and-coming top 30 ethical hacking content creator here in 2025. She's known for also an aspiring cybersecurity researcher addressing security concerns across organizations such as NASA, U.S. Department of Education, the Indian government through Vulnerability Disclosure Program, skilled in vulnerability analysis, web application penetration testing, and networking. Also, she has developed a networking monitoring tool during Microsoft's Future Readiness Talent Internship, gaining real-world experience in networking security. She currently holds and reigns over at the cybersecurity lead at the DTC, Internet Governance Forum over at the United Nations. Bandana, I am so glad to have you on the channel and welcome on.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, as folks come to this channel, which far and few between sometimes, but also can be in the hundreds, which is always nice. The reigning question I kind of start with people is breaking into cyber. So being very young in your current career age, I'd say probably this is more relevant to you than I, because even when I was a young kid, not many people think about breaking and going into cybersecurity when they're a kid. When I was a kindergarten, I want to be a police officer. People want to be firefighters, doctors, but you decided to become a ethical hacker. What kind of stemmed that want or that passion to get into this field?
So I think a lot of young people actually do want to get into cybersecurity, but they don't even know what it's called. Because we see all these young people watching movies and stuff, and they watch hackers just ding ding ding. I hacked into the mainframe,
Yep.
and that's just really fun even for kids. So that's what got me into cybersecurity. So when I was 13, I was cyberbullied, and that kind of led me to become this lone wolf sort of personality. And I started competitive programming in Python. I have a couple certifications in competitive programming as well. And then I watched a TV series on Netflix that's called Salvation. Now, it had a really, really interesting and super iconic female hacker lead. So she was kind of my idol at the moment. I really wanted to at least try and be like her. So I researched a little bit about ethical hacking and cybersecurity online, and I found OSINT. So,
Awesome.
so I read some blogs on OSINT, and I learned how to geolocate pictures online. Not the sort of stuff that you do through EXIF tool, actually, like reverse image lookups
Yeah.
and using OSINT tools and stuff. So I would just basically cyber stalk my friends online. And I had no bad intentions with that. So I would just geolocate my friends' pictures. So that's kind of what got me into cybersecurity. I would best describe myself still as a very, very curious cat who knows how to fulfill her spidey senses. And yeah, I'm still learning. So movies were definitely what got me into cybersecurity.
No, and that's awesome. And if it's funny that you say you're curious, because I think honestly, with breaking and getting into cybersecurity, and even once you get into the industry, it's being curious is what makes people grow and get better. So it's just like riding a bike. Like to get better at a skill, you have to continuously keep trying to do it and do it over and over. And you're not always going to get it right the first time. And sometimes it takes 2, 3, 5, 10, several times to refine and get better at a skill. And I also think you're nail on the head where it's like people think of cybersecurity, they think of three things. They think of like IT help desk. They think of the hooded hacker that's like, hey, I'm in the mainframe, I got in. Or they think of cybersecurity analysts that are just doing defending. Like, hey, we blocked the hacker, we've secured the network. When in full honesty, you have your ethical pen testers, you have GRC compliance, you have your DevSecOps, you have your
But
bad hackers. I mean, there's so many different paths and avenues. There's DLP, there's engineers that just do back end coding. And there's so much more than just those like semi entry level roles or those roles that this is what I have to do to get into cyber. And that's a lot of sometimes what I talk about people when they want to get into the field or when they ask me like, hey, how do I get into cybersecurity? My first question is like, well, what do you want to do? And I guess another question I have for you is like, so obviously there's probably multiple peers and other colleagues that you've talked to across your time still learning and getting into this field. When it comes to advice that you like to try to provide to people, what's your kind of like initial start to of like, if you have folks that are asking you that have like that, hey, I kind of want to get into cyber, but I don't know what I want to do first. What's your kind of advice for first steps people to check out and try learning and doing?
So I was actually discussing this with a cybercrime investigator here in India on Instagram, and about, I would say, 1,200 students joined in. So it was really awesome. We talked about the same thing for 50 minutes, and at the end, we just kind of agreed on a general roadmap that people should follow. I mean, when it comes to roadmaps, I think one size almost never fits all, because everybody has their own background, their own interests. So the first thing that somebody should probably do to get into cybersecurity is just look up what it is, right? So you have to get familiarized with what cybersecurity is, what are the different paths you can take in cybersecurity, and then just start with one niche. So, like for me, that was OSINT. And I'm not doing OSINT currently, I'm doing security research engineering. So don't overthink it. Just pick
Yeah.
anything interests you and just read blogs about it, solve little projects, labs across TryHackMe and Hack the Box. There's just plenty of resources, but a general guide is to just pick a random niche first.
Yeah, I tell people when they're trying to figure out what they want to do within this industry, almost do like 2 week sprints going off like the agile like sprint model. Like, hey, for 2 weeks, do OSINT. See what you think about it. At the end of those 2 weeks, make a pros cons list. And then for the next 2 weeks, okay, now I want to go about pen testing. Look at Nmap, Burp Sweep, all those additional tools you might be using as a pen tester. Do it for 2 weeks, make a pros cons list, see what you're really liking about it. And then after like a month or two of like trying different things, like, hey, do coding, do security, go do sim training with like TryHackMe, Splunk, Elastic. And when you like, you know what, I really resonated to the OSINT work, that's when I say, okay, now really hone in on that for now do like 4 weeks and read blogs, do the training, find training you can do. And you and I know both that breaking into cyber can be, depending on your way of life, one can be very expensive with certifications and training. So one thing I always aim for, and I tell people, is like, yeah, there's stuff on YouTube, there's Google, there's TryHackMe. They have their there's a small paywall if you want to pay for the subscription, but there's still plenty of free rooms you can do for the training for it. Just Hacking Now, anti-siphon training, Hack the Box, Pico CTF. There's
Yeah.
tons of different things you can get into when it comes into breaking into the field and really kind of learning those niche skills. And blends into my next question actually perfectly, and it's, I know, one that you have a very strong passion for, AI. So I know a huge talk right now with AI and cybersecurity is, one is the fear of it taking over a lot of jobs, which I personally think it's partially true. I think there's still a lot of back end stuff and like eyes and fingers on keyboards that needs to be going into the review of all the stuff happening with AI for hallucinations and still training it and like tuning it well. But I know you have a very strong passion and deep research for it. What are your thoughts on it? What AI has been doing with the cybersecurity world we're currently in now, where 2-3 years ago it was just like, oh man, there's so much to do with it. We're now even in like RSA and a lot of the different conferences that are coming up, a lot of AI talks are part of the main tracks that people are really getting into.
So I believe that AI is going to transform the world and the cybersecurity workforce pretty much the same way the printing press did. So AI has
Good
been,
analogy. Good
yeah,
analogy.
AI has been there since the 90s and the 80s, right? But it's only getting hyped up now because of, the recent developments with chatbots and Gen AI. And I think that yes, it's, of course, it's going to consume some jobs to improve the efficiency that people have in cybersecurity. It's going to free up cybersecurity analysts from doing less, manual anomaly detection
Yeah.
and manual data analysis, to automating those processes, so our analysts actually have some more human centric work to do. Now, a big aspect that people have with Gen AI is they have two opinions. Either one is that AI is gonna be great, it's gonna be a great learning tool, and the other is AI is gonna destroy the world. Now,
Terminator.
yeah, there will be robots and they're gonna kill us and everything. So now, what I believe is that there's a huge aspect to it that people overlook. It's trustworthiness of AI, right?
Yes.
And from a research perspective, it's a whole field in itself, right? And a lot of researchers are working on this field. You can't trust AI to solve cybersecurity problems for you. I mean, yes, it's a tool and you can definitely use it. But cybersecurity is just that one field that I believe will always be somewhat human centric. Because you're going to use AI tools for security, but you also need security for that AI,
Yep.
right? So I think that human aspect will never ever be destroyed completely.
Yeah, I think like AI prompting and like big data language models and the pools of it too, it's just like there still has to be training of how that AI is being taught, what it's actually looking for. And there's, I think, just been, I can't remember if it was in the news. It was either, there was an organization that was using AI for a lot of, and obviously a lot of AI is being used for scanning through job applications. And there was there was some recent organization that allegedly the AI was being age biased and on specific ages, it was kicking those resumes back. And that's where it comes down to, okay, well then is that the AI's fault for it's like self tuning what it's looking for because the recruiters are only grabbing specific resumes? So the AI is like, huh, well, if they're only grabbing resumes between the ages of 18, birth dates of 18 to 35, I don't need any of these above 35. I'm just going to auto deny these resumes. And that's where it comes into, I think, just like you said, where AI is going to help with the little tasks that are going to help for a lot of your false positive anomalies that are just like super repetitive tasks. Just how Python, in many cases, can automate a lot of simple tasks for coders. And those that want to get things done, of like, hey, I need you to do a like a web crawl and grab all this information, rather than an analyst that's not used to Python that is doing that manually. Python's going to speed up that task for those analysts. And I think AI, just like you said, is going to be doing the same thing for your analysts, your engineers, your DevSec folks, even compliance and audits, depending on how well you can tune that AI to complete and help with the tasks you're doing, is how helpful it's going to be. And obviously, when it comes into AI prompting and like, there's so many things like on social media and Twitters and posts and vines where it's just like you need a good prompt, follow for more, and it's like it's just a super long prompt, and it's how detailed you can be on what you're asking it to do. And the more detailed you are within your prompts, the better results you're going to get utilizing AI for that type of investigation. And you'll understand this more than other folks too. It's like, but if you're with that organization, like, okay, well, what are you feeding that AI? Are you giving it proprietary information? Are you dropping in internal IPs? Are you dropping in admin and other passwords and credentials? Are you using an open source tool where now that's just being stored within that large data model where you'll now have your third party pen testers come out, realize you're using maybe an open source chat GPT, go into that big data. Oh, look, they've dropped in credentials and admin here. Now they're combing through the raw data, but they're still going to be able to find that information because it's not locked behind any walls. So I guess a follow up question I have for you is, what's been your favorite utilization of AI?
My favorite utilization of AI has been AI as a learning tool. So for sure, if you ask AI, I'm preparing for this certification exam, it's gonna fish out resources for you. And another thing I'd like to add to the whole breaking into cybersecurity thing is you can use Chat GPT. Just tell it your background, tell it what you want to do, what you want to get into, and it's gonna make a pretty nice roadmap for you. So I think we should definitely use AI tools as learning tools. And also, a really important application of AI has been a service in Canada that's called Kids Helpline or Kids Help Call or something. I think I'm forgetting. What it does, it uses Gen AI to provide more accessible mental health care to kids, and that's just a great
That's
use case
awesome.
of yeah.
No, and that's awesome. So, I mean, I think, and we could talk about AI. We might have to do a second call just talking about AI, to be honest, because I think there's tons of good pros and cons that we could easily back and forth probably for the next hour. But I guess another follow up question I have. So, when it comes into training for it, what were your top three training sites or platforms that you've used to kind of sharpen your skills and get better at the jobs you're doing?
So the best resource that I would recommend is the OWASP Top 10 for LLMs, and you can practice that with Portswigger Web Security Academy. They
Yep.
have really amazing labs and really amazing theory. So And about the whole LLMs containing sensitive data thing, I would like to add that often these LLMs have excessive agency and they connect to sensitive APIs. So I think that also ties into API security.
Yes.
So
Yep.
the biggest problem with LLMs being the intermediate between the human and the API is that AI developers are not that well versed with security, and API security professionals are not yet that well versed with AI related threats. So even if you're into API security or just cybersecurity in general, it's just a good practice to well verse yourself with AI related threats.
No, and nail on the head. So, another fun question I have for you. So, top 30 ethical hacker content creators in 2025. That is fantastic and amazing. Congratulations, by the way. So, hack with her. What was the thinking, I guess, behind getting into content creation? I mean, I somewhat did my I created my YouTube off a dare, and it's kind of just gotten into a now fun hobby and great networking of getting to talk to individuals across this field and getting to share their origin stories of kind of breaking into cyber. That's the niche I went with. That's what I've been kind of getting to grow with, and just getting to share those kind of resources and talks and getting to hear people's stories and hoping it connects with somebody is kind of my backing of why the channel of Ginger Hacker is here. Horrible name, I know, but it's in the it's what I picked and that's what I got. But yeah, hack with her. What was kind of the concepts of what made you want to kind of get into this getting into content creation?
So for me, my journey into content creation and personal branding was pretty slow, and it wasn't like an aha moment where I was like, yeah, I want to do this. So basically I was 14, 15-ish when I was preparing for the ISC2CC, and I was just going through those resources, and I found that the language in those notes and those courses was just too technical for me. I mean, I was somebody who just had middle school IT knowledge, so it was getting really hard for me to understand what the resource is actually trying to say. So what I would do is I followed the Feynman method. Do you know what that is?
I don't actually. Can you fill me in?
So the Feynman method is where you kind of pretend to where you learn something and then you pretend to teach it to somebody in hopes
Okay.
that you understand it better. So what I did was I made videos explaining different cybersecurity concepts through somewhat childish analogies. Like I made videos explaining the OSI model through Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Ethernet through Christmas parties, and I just made really different types of content on that. And it just ended up gaining a lot of traction. Like I remember 10,000, 20,000 people saw those videos, and I used to receive DMs like I received one from a CISO where he told me that his 8-year-old daughter enjoys my videos. And that was crazy, like an 8-year-old listening to me explain the OSI model. So that was kind of a little bit of a canon moment for me. And later I came across another video of, I think it was by Brut. I don't know if I'm getting that wrong, but what they did was they asked people of different age groups what it means to run like a girl. And as that age group got younger and younger, that answer was actually more and more powerful. People who were in their teens and older than that actually said it means, taking care of your hair and not messing up your nails and stuff and being this fragile creature. But the 5 year olds actually said that running like a girl means running the fastest that you can. And I mean, it might be a tiny thing, but it has such a big impact on the way I view myself and the way I view women in cybersecurity and STEM related fields. So I thought I want to be the girl who hacks like a girl, and I want to show the next generation that this is also what a hacker looks like. I mean, you can paint your nails and you can still do LLM security research. So that's kind of what got me into content creation.
That is an awesome story. And I think nail on the head, having role models and mentors and folks that can be good teachers. Not everyone can teach. And it's a hard fact that some people need to understand and just know. But having that strong impact on people is huge. And I think it's the same thing where it's like I've gotten DMs on my videos and it's funny, like nothing's monetized. I'm not no big deal. I'm not the John Hammond of cybersecurity. or like Mr. Beast with 400 million subs. But if I can even get one or two people to come across any of my videos and watch it and say, hey, you know what, that talk you had with anyone I've had to talk to this year, like, hey, that was a great talk. It really resonated with me. I really appreciate that. That it's so cool when you get those like those one DMs or a LinkedIn friend request saying, hey, I saw your video. I really liked your content. Keep it up. Because I think the same way. If any of these videos help one person have that aha moment or that light bulb turn on, saying, you know what, that's why I want to get into cybersecurity. I really have this passion for it. That's all I need, and that's what this is really fun about. And I guess a follow up question I have to that is, so obviously having mentorship and getting into a strong, I think, study routine and knowing where to find resources, I think is huge. And that's one thing that I've opened my door to this past 5-6 months is providing just free 30-minute blocks of getting to talk to people wanting to break into cyber. Do you have any mentors or mentees? And what would be your advice if you're trying to find a mentor?
So I do have a lot of mentors. The biggest ones actually being my parents, because the thing is, when I started in cybersecurity, they had no idea. They just knew I like to code here and there. But when I entered like ninth, 10th grade, they were like, okay, you need to put a little pause on the coding thing because it's gonna distract you from school and stuff. So I stopped telling them what I was doing, and I got into cybersecurity. And when I was in the 11th grade, I got my internship, and I got my first ever podcast interview. That's when I told them that I'm doing cybersecurity. I've been doing this for a little while, and in fact, my first ever podcast episode, the day it got released, it was on my dad's birthday. So it was a birthday gift for him as well.
That's so cool.
And and the thing is, I still wasn't planning on telling them. That's on me. I wasn't planning on telling them, but they saw my LinkedIn and they saw it by accident, and they were like, "Wait, you're doing that?" And then I had to tell them everything. So even though sometimes, even now, they don't understand what I'm doing, they're so proud of me, and that just gives me the biggest motivation I can get. And as for professional mentors, yes, I have had many. My biggest mentor professionally, I would say, has been I consider her my non biological sister. She lives in New York. Her name is Shivani. I think she's okay with me taking her name here.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
yeah, she's the one who told me to get into personal branding, and she's always been there to just help me for free. And she's just really awesome. She's a top mentor on Top Mate as well, and her face was on the New York Times billboard or something, and
Oh,
she's
wow.
just
That's awesome.
uh, yeah. And there's another one, Gaurav Singh and Rasha ma'am. Like they've been my mentors in the NICE community. So basically, I'm a cybersecurity ambassador for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education by the NIST, and they were the ones who kind of helped me get started in it, and they were the ones who helped me kind of get started by helping other people in security. And fun fact, last year during Cybersecurity Career Week, I organized an event along with the NICE community for, I would say, I think 500, 600 teenagers to get started in cybersecurity.
So cool.
Yeah, and it was really fun because it was all Among Us themed.
Oh, that's
And
so awesome.
yeah, and there were people like there was even an 8-year-old in the session, and there were college students, and it was just really amazing. Everyone loved it.
That's so awesome. And it's getting to give back and like really have those, I'd say, strong connecting moments with like the younger generation. Because one thing that I also, so being a warrant officer in the United States Army, we're trained to find our replacements. Because at some point in time, I'm going to want to retire. At some point in time, you're going to want to retire. And I, talking to John Hammond when I had him on my channel, at some point, John Hammond, who's an all-star uh, consultant with Huntress, at some point he's going to want to retire. And so it's like having this kind of content and having these kind of conversations with our younger generation and training them up and showing them, hey, look, anyone can get into cybersecurity. It doesn't matter your walk of life, doesn't matter your education. As long as you have the drive and the will and you're willing to learn and ask questions and be curious, anyone can get into this field if you have the right passion for it.
Yeah, and I believe that the younger generation now should at least have some knowledge about cybersecurity, especially when it comes to surviving online. Because I
Yes.
mean, there are so many threats going around with these child predators and just all of these threats, and especially with AI. Even AI can be a threat to kids sometimes. I don't know if you've heard, but there was an incident of a 14-year-old boy being killed because he talked to character.ai, and that AI bot actually convinced him to kill himself.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's nuts. I did not know about that. That's crazy.
yeah,
Ugh.
that's a terrible incident, and it's a huge failure when it comes to security in AI, and just another very big reason why we need to security and jailbreak test AI models.
No, 100%. So, well, I have two more final questions for you, and we will wrap this up. So, my second to last question is when you're not doing cybersecurity, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do to unplug, unwind, relax, some might say, when you're not doing cyber?
So cybersecurity is kind of my career path and my passion as well. So I just really enjoy working. But other than that, I love painting my nails. I love doing my makeup, and I love practicing Muay Thai. I've been
Oh,
boxing for about,
cool.
and I've been learning Muay Thai since December last year. And also, I think that's pretty much it. I love going to the gym. I'm a huge fitness girly, even though I don't have much strength behind that. But
No, that's awesome. And as always, and we'll kind of end it with our final and last question, but I want to say a huge thank you for coming on the channel. I know we've been in conversation for the last few weeks trying to figure out the time change and the time difference. So super glad I was able to get you on the channel. But as always, a thank you for coming on. I want to send you some awesome Ginger Hacker swag as a thank you for coming onto the channel and just getting to steal some time from your day today. But last but not least, final advice for someone trying to break into cyber.
so, the one piece of advice that I would give is to not listen to the rejection and embrace even failure as an attempt that you tried. Even failure is a success sometimes. So, even if you're trying to set up a home lab and there's an error, you have to celebrate that as well because you tried, right? And another final piece of advice that I would like to give is to learn in public, and don't be afraid to document your journey and your learning, because a couple of months down the line, even a couple of weeks down the line, it's going to motivate you a lot, and hopefully it's going to get somebody else also interested in cybersecurity.
100%. And channel, as always, if you made it this far, very much appreciate you guys sticking it through the entire interview. Drop a like, hit a comment below what your favorite part was. And as always, I will catch you on the next episode of Breaking into Cyber.